Money and Happiness. Chapter 1. Money and Happiness. The need for money operates by the law of diminishing returns. Getting more money to go from poverty to middle class will greatly increase your happiness, but getting more money to get you from middle class to upper class will reach a critical point where money cannot make you happier. Beyond basic comfort, there are other things beyond money you need in order to be happy, like the pursuit of inspiration and transcendence and getting some love in your life. Despite these facts, a lot of people knock themselves out trying to get more money than they'll ever need. It won't make you happier. You might think it will, but it won't. Think of drinking cocktails, eating ice cream cones, or owning cars. The first one is great, the second is good, the third is alright, but after that, your increase in happiness level with each succeeding one goes down until it reaches zero. There are only so many consumer needs you can buy. Once you buy everything you want, you need to look elsewhere for happiness. And remember, you can't buy people, true love, or friendship. You can buy fair weather friends and lovers very easily, but when your money runs out, they're gone. Life is a balancing act. Prosperity knits a man to the world. He thinks he's finding his place in it, while really it is finding its place in him. C.S. Lewis. Obsession with money is hell. Living in an artistic dream world away from capitalist reality is also hell, so do yourself a favor. Read my books in order to help you get some control of your life, because I was once a bumbling idiot thinking I was living a cool life, probably like you are now, but I had to learn to educate myself to deal with my life, so I went off and pursued this as part of my artistic vision, that knowledge is power, but only if it's real. Before then, I lived the hippie, free-spirited lifestyle for a while and realized it didn't work if I had to constantly worry about money, so the solution is to be grounded in reality before you go off pursuing fanciful flights of your artistic visions, but don't be a desperado about it, sacrificing everything for the pursuit of money. Money is the only thing that talks in a capitalist world. Ideals are useless if you can barely get enough money together to eat. Don't be a simpleton and renounce the real world for your ideals, and don't be hypocrite and sell your soul for money. Take a middle ground approach where you keep your soul intact and earn some money to live in the real world without having to be a starving artist and end up like Van Gogh, stabbing himself because he was so poor. He got down on himself and all of a sudden, his 900 or so paintings couldn't help him keep living because he didn't even have the basics of material security covered and felt like a scumbag leeching off his brother Theo, who had a family to support. Use money as a means to improve your quality of life and give you the opportunities to do what you really want to do with your life, but don't become its slave, sacrificing all your time to work for it just to live some illusory lifestyle you don't really need. Live a balanced life. Don't let the pursuit of money and material things for their own sake take away from the inspired, sensual, loving pursuit that your life should really be about. Some people say they only figure out the true meaning of life when something happens that money can't help, like a terminal disease, or when they lose it all and are left with only themselves, the pure person looking back at them in the mirror without all the accoutrements of the money. Books about the spiritual aspects of money are at number 291.56 or BL65. Life Karma. Happiness resides not in possessions and not in gold. The feeling of happiness dwells in the soul. Democritus. No one cares how you got rich as long as you're rich, so they can get a piece of it one way or another. Don't let your possessions possess you. I never go shopping for recreation's sake. When I need something, I go to the exact store, buy it and leave, but recently I was driving someone around as a favor because she wanted to buy vinyl tiles for her kitchen floor. I thought it would take an hour at the most, but when all was said and done, it took over 3.5 hours and 6 stores. She wasn't satisfied with what they had at any store, so we kept going to different stores until I couldn't take it anymore, took her to the last store, didn't go in with her, then didn't say a word to her on the way back. I was so mad that she wasted 3 hours of my life because she couldn't pick out which style of tile to pick out, when to me it's like, who cares? A tile is a tile. I should be thankful to have tiles, not a dirt floor, without going through hundreds of samples to pick one out. And while I was at these home improvement and flooring stores, I saw all these other people around buying junk they don't need. I know why our societies are screwed. Everybody's so brainwashed into looking for happiness through meaningless material goods. The main idea behind excessive materialism, which is buying things beyond needs, is that you have an empty soul. You're buying to fill an emotional void, to make you feel good for a minute or two. There's something missing in your life whereby you're not living an inspired lifestyle that keeps you happy within yourself or you don't feel loved enough. So one of the ways you fill up this emptiness is to buy useless crap, because it helps give you a momentary, transient tingle but ultimately does not solve the problem of the empty soul. There is also the status trap, which is essentially the more money you make, the more you spend. This is why you can live on almost nothing as a poor student, but then 5 years later, when you're making $100,000 a year, you're still struggling financially because you have bought a lot of things you don't need and live an expensive standard of living. The solution is simple. Always live below your means. Just because you make more money, don't necessarily buy a bigger house, a bigger car, or more useless things. Don't have more kids than you afford. You don't really need much. Most of the stuff you own is extra stuff you don't really need. You could get by in a smaller house or smaller apartment. You should see the story of my life. As a typical creative type, I've been poor and I've been rich, and through it all, my consciousness nor my material science barely changed, because my life is lived through inspired aesthetic, sensual, spiritual, loving action, not through possessions or status. It's nice not to have to worry about getting a root canal or buying a car, but beyond that, money has no meaning to me in how I try to live a highly inspired life. There is a disease of consumerism in America. Kids and young people in general are especially stricken by it because they want to be looked upon as cool and trendy, but it's all a lie, because your happiness is within you, not in what you wear, what you own, or what other people think of you. Open your eyes. Look at all the frivolous, useless stuff in your house. Look at the size of your house, then think of the poor people in the world. I have lived like a lower middle class person most of my life, not necessarily because I was poor, but because I have no need to live above that standard, and I simply have this intrinsic anomicity for material excess. My happiness comes from the inspired act of living, not from what materialistic things I'm surrounded by. Money is simple. There are no excuses. Don't spend it on useless things even if you got it because there's a law of nature and karma that says don't take more than you need. If you violate the law, you dishonor a great law of life in the universe. This is why I'm always in balance with my life. I don't buy into the capitalist materialistic lie being promoted all around in advertisements. We seem to think that fun comes from spending money on pop culture entertainment. Why not go for a walk sometimes? Wealth, money, or inner harmony. Virtue doesn't come from money, money comes from virtue. Plato's Apology. Money is one of those rare things where quantity is quality. Wealthy artist. The man who is richest is the one whose pleasures are the cheapest. Money is simply a medium of exchange for the things we need to get through life, like food, clothes, transportation, heat, security, and trivial amusements. Once it goes beyond this realm to the point where you use it for ego or power, you're dead in water for the amount of true quality you have got in your life. Money is good to the extent that you can use it to take care of basic needs and then to free yourself from the drudgery of day-to-day life to do other worthwhile things that focus on the inner self. Other than that, it's useless. I look around and see all these rich guys who buy expensive things that they will never really enjoy. They're all just showpieces. Credit card debt costs a lot of money. Do without rather than pay by credit. Avoid buying based on emotion to fill the emptiness you feel. Avoid buying based on hype. Don't rely on Social Security or your company's retirement plans. Save by yourself for yourself. If you use money to make up for things you lack in life, like character, inner conviction, a sense of identity, inspiration, personality, peace of mind, etc., you're again dead in the water, 'cause you're a fool who doesn't realize that the love of money is the root of all evil and a lot of emptiness. If you flaunt your material goods to impress other people, you're a lost soul. If you crave money and spend all your time in pursuit of it, you're lost in space. Money is a poor substitute for happiness. You don't have to give it away and live like a pauper, you just have to get your priorities straight, take care of your material needs, then spend less time concerned with it, balance your life and focus on the spiritual pursuit of inner harmony. What good is money if you can't enjoy it? We all want happiness and success, but most of us don't know what this means. My definition is to manipulate conditions to get enough money so that I can be totally free to continue on enjoying my adventure without worrying about bills or wasting time with anything I don't necessarily want to spend time with. If I were to become a rich man tomorrow, I'd buy a few creature comforts and that'd be it. It'd still be me doing almost exactly what I'm doing now, although in better surroundings in a tropical climate. Too many people confuse happiness with money. It's really all about using your time now wisely to enjoy yourself, because we will all get old and then it will be over regardless of the size of our bank accounts. The big question in our material world is, do large amounts of money lead to a qualitative leap in the mental/spiritual enjoyment of life? Is a billionaire that much more happier in his mind than I, as a middle-class guy, am in mine, or is he distracted from true freedom because he has complicated his life via the responsibility of managing his money and all the other egotistical accoutrements that go along with it, like his big house, his big car, his entourage, his plane, etc. I saw a rich guy build a huge pond in his yard and stock it with exotic fish that cost $1,000 each. Does this really make him happy, or is it just an empty testament to his success? Remember Ozymandias, the worn-down statue of a once great king in the middle of the desert? Even lawns are a hassle. Some guy from India who came over to America was amazed at how we wasted our good, fertile land for something so useless. For me, a lawn is just a hassle because it means I have to mow it. If I want to sit out in the sun, I need a 10x10 foot square and that's it. The rest is just a headache to me, which is the way I live. Many lost people with money use it to try to put forth an image about themselves so that others will perceive them as cool, rich, happening, or whatever, but it's all show and illusion. The amount of money people spend on status and image could probably solve all the world's problems, but in our capitalist society, they earned it, they're entitled to it, even though deep down, they know that it's all a big, empty waste, kind of like F. Scott Fitzgerald's commentary on the emptiness of wealth in the novel The Great Gatsby. Many people with lots of money get stuck in cages of their own creation. They have to expend time and energy on dull things like business, investments, and bills. Their employees are all hired guns, so it's not exactly quality time with loved ones. To be totally free, you have to have the freedom to pursue your life unfettered, and that includes the objects of your creation. When you're done, you move on. You don't become attached to anything. Many creative people get bogged down with the business aspects of their work, then lose the enjoyment of it. Rich people have the freedom to cut out of life if they choose to, but it still doesn't solve the problem of you stuck with your brain every second of the waking day. If you're a real human being, sooner or later, you will end up bored, and you will have to find that connection to your soul if you want to get something out of life. Money is the most important thing if you don't have it. When you have it, it can be used to enhance your life within reasonable limits, but when it gets to the point of excessive absorption in the material things it can buy, you're caught in the trap of trying to find happiness through things, which is impossible. As a means to fulfillment, you never get there because you can't fill up the emptiness you feel inside with money or the things it can buy. All those divas we hear about who have 500 pairs of shoes or something like that give themselves away that they have big holes in their hearts by virtue of these actions. I'm not down on materialism. It's necessary and nice to enjoy some of the creature comforts, but when you use money to try to buy happiness, it won't work because you still have to live with yourself. Do you have money, or does money have you? Many rich people pay for their wealth by robbing their health and their souls. They destroy their health and then spend a fortune on doctors and head shrinks to try to get it back. I have seen lots of guys who started out as happy, energetic people only to get caught up in work and now seem dead or lost, caught up in a job and a family that keeps them spinning around on some treadmill that robs the life drive right out of them. The magic age seems to be around 32 or 33. Something happens to a lot of people around then. They slowly lose their spark of youth as they all converge to the stereotype of middle-age blandness, which equates to a boring job, a few extra pounds around the midriff, and the pursuit of creature comforts. Even sex goes. Even though these guys quietly hate what they have become, they accept it, don't have the guts to find their way back to the spark that they once knew, and quietly go off to the end as carnal consumers and the self-perception of themselves as successful people. But the problem is that success is defined by the system, not what they truly feel inside in their souls. Most wealthy people are like Sam Walton, quiet, unassuming people who didn't start out with the plan of making it big but with the intention of starting a business that would help people by filling a real need they have. Because of hard work, good service, and good prices, over time, they develop a loyal customer base. But today, the youth of society, brainwashed by all the glitter of the media, want to get rich fast and live fast, which is why many fall prey to get-rich schemes and crash and burn in their attempts to start fly-by-night businesses which they think will bring them instant riches. The real world is not that simple or rose-colored. It's considerably tougher to make it big than the few flukes and lucky souls portrayed by the media. The rise of the internet showcased a few individuals who made it big fast but didn't show all the other internet startups that could barely get off the ground even during the boom, the hard work behind it, nor the true intensity of the crash when the bubble finally burst. A few people luck out by catching the wave of a trend like exercise equipment in the 80s, but in a flash, you're faced with tons of competitors. So the way most people make it is to start a small business and provide good service in one small local area. Over time, then, if it works there, they expand. Wealthy people in general are ordinary people who made a lot of money through their own efforts, didn't inherit or win it, and don't live by the status of money. They still live basically the same way they did when they didn't have much money and were just starting their businesses. They get up every day and work hard for the craft and integrity of it, and don't get all caught up in the status or the material excess of their money. They don't flaunt it, they drive average cars, wear simple functional clothes, live in normal houses, and fly coach on the plane. Wealth is quality of life. There are basically two levels. Level 1 is the fantasy level of the lifestyles of the rich and famous, where you have enough money to fulfill any whim you want, a lifestyle currently reserved for maybe 0.01% of the population, or 1 in 10,000 people if that. Level 2 is the more realistic level of a materially comfortable lifestyle free from financial worry, as long as you are reasonably frugal and watch your money. You can live a reasonably happy life this way because happiness is not exclusively derived from money or material things, even though that's part of it. You have enough money to cover the basics and some recreational things on the side, but you can't indulge your ultimate hedonistic fantasies at will on a whim. This is the highest most people will ever reach, even after a life of hard work. It's often good enough because the best things in life are not related to material wealth, namely, love, sex, inspiration, happiness, an inner feeling of being who you really are, following your true nature, expending the energy in your soul in an intense way on a near daily level to feel transcendent, and a few other aesthetic, creative things. These things do more for you than gobs of money because they create a positive feeling and positive identity within yourself, which money can't do. Most wealthy people are worth $1 million or so, own a comfortable house, a nice car, maybe 2 cars, can go on a trip when they want within reason, but don't live that impossible fantasy life we sometimes see in the media. Someone with 3 or 4 mansions, their own jet, 40+ cars, etc. This is materialistic excess. It doesn't necessarily lead to happiness, and it's a sin against humanity by virtue of the fact that one person has so much and uses it frivolously while others have so little and are dying every day because of hunger and poor medical treatment. It goes against the spirit of life, and anyone who lives like this knows they're violating the true spirit of the humanity they were supposedly born with. So the materialist, capitalist ideal is only good to a certain point of a reasonably comfortable lifestyle, but beyond that, it becomes pure greed, selfishness, superficialness, and frivolity, all sins of materialistic excess. So get real, live a good life while you strive for financial independence, as opposed to a fantasy of infinite wealth, which isn't all that life transforming if you get it anyway. Always take care of your soul, take care of your body and live a comfortable life doing what you love to do without being selfish, excessive, or greedy about it, because what really gives you happiness day by day is the wisdom to know how to keep a strong powerhouse of inspired energy going all the time. What's the good of a lot of money if you just sit around and indulge your carnal pleasures by doing trivial things all the time? It doesn't make you feel good in your soul. It might be fun for a season, but sooner or later, if you want to live a truly good, happy, inspired life, you have to connect with your true soul and do what you really feel inside in order to release the spirit of life that lives inside of you. It's better to be reasonably comfortable materially and do what you really like to do rather than work at some venture you don't particularly like that earns you a lot of money. Don't spend money you see 'cause you got it laying around as disposable income. Always save what you don't need, because you never know when the circumstances of your life will change and you're going to need it just to get by. Too many people spend while the going is good, only to end up destitute when they go through the proverbial reversal of fortune. Just look at the life of Harold Robbins or Truman Capote, both one-time big-timers who eventually crashed and burned, and it wasn't just monetary loss. Oftentimes, it's the health that goes due to decadent living, and when this happens, all the money in the world can't help you. Decadent living is fine, but just for a while, as a break in between living a creative, healthy life, expending the natural inspired energy you feel within. Do work you love and do it well. Only then will success come. Live below your means. Save your money. Check your credit report every few years. Report any mistakes and dispute them. Live a simple lifestyle in all ways, even money. Talk to your wife about money decisions. Live life one step at a time. Books about rich people are at number 332.0922 or HC110 at the library.